Imagine you're stranded in a freezing apartment parking lot in Chicago. It's late, it's completely dark out, and the dashboard of your car is staring back at you with a battery level of just 7%.
Oh, that is stressful just thinking about it.
Right. And then, suddenly, a terrifying error message flashes up. It just says, "Stop safely now." And your car completely bricks.
Wow. Total nightmare.
Yeah, you can't put it in drive. You can't even shift into neutral to push it. You are effectively sitting inside a 2-ton paperweight. What do you actually do?
I mean, panic, probably.
Exactly. Well, today we are looking at a stack of incredibly diverse sources for you to answer exactly that question.
Yeah.
We've got macro-level global market forecasts, industry PR announcements, and yes, the actual slightly panicked Reddit thread from the guy who literally lived that Chicago nightmare.
Which is such a great example because it perfectly captures, the massive friction of this whole technological transition. You have multi-billion-dollar infrastructure plans just completely colliding with a single driver who just wants to get home.
And the mission of this deep dive is to sort of shortcut your understanding of how the massive bottleneck of EV charging is actually being solved. Because, honestly, we are moving way beyond the outdated concept of simply, plugging into a wall.
Yeah, the wall plug is becoming ancient history at this point.
Right. We're looking at a booming new industry known as charging as a service, or chemic gas, and exploring an entirely new wave of mobile charging fleets that basically act like an on-demand, cloud-connected rescue system coming directly to your car.
Which is wild to think about.
It really is.
Yeah.
Okay, let's unpack this, because what we're really talking about is the invisible backbone of the future. This is going to affect how you commute, how you travel, and even how quickly you receive your packages.
Yeah, and to understand where the technology is heading, we really have to grasp the sheer physical and honestly financial scale of the current problem. Because simply buying a charger and bolting it to the concrete, that is just no longer a viable business model.
Not at all.
I was looking at the data from the FMI market report, and it is just staggering. They project the EV charging as a service market to skyrocket from $2.6 billion in 2026 to $16.8 billion by 2036.
Wait, $16.8 billion. That is a massive leap.
It's huge. That is a compound annual growth rate of 20.5% over 10 years.
Okay, and that tells me that companies are desperately trying to get out of the business of owning their own hardware.
Exactly. And what's really fascinating here is where that revenue is actually coming from. 55% of it is generated purely through subscription or pay-per-use fees.
Wow, more than half.
Yeah, and crucially, 42% of this entire market is driven entirely by commercial fleets.
Right, and that 42% commercial fleet number, I mean, you have to realize that is every Amazon package that arrives at your door,
Yeah.
every Uber you take to the airport, and the municipal trucks picking up your recycling.
Yep, it's a whole logistics network.
Their infrastructure bottleneck is your delayed delivery.
Yeah.
I mean, if you are running a logistics hub with 50 electric delivery vans, the old model is just brutal.
Oh, completely.
You had to spend between $200,000 and $500,000 in upfront capital. You had to dig up your parking lot, lay massive amounts of underground conduit, buy commercial chargers, and then hire an entire team to fix them when the screens freeze or the cables break.
And trust me, they do break a lot. The Luxman Energy report we looked at highlights the absolute dominance of just a few major players trying to build this fixed infrastructure.
Like who?
Well, you have ChargePoint, right? They're operating over 200,000 points globally. You have Tesla with their 50,000 superchargers.
Which are everywhere now.
Yeah, they are. But then you also have specialized hardware providers like ChemPower hitting a 99% uptime benchmark, which, by the way, is the holy grail when a logistics business literally relies on those chargers to function.
99% is impressive.
It is. But the core concept of charging as a service, it shifts that entire burden. So instead of that massive upfront capital expenditure and the, nightmare of maintenance, a company just pays a monthly subscription fee.
That makes so much more sense.
Right. The Cafios provider handles the installation, the software integration, the grid management, and all the repairs.
It's like the evolution of computing, really. It's like moving from buying your own server racks to just subscribing to AWS.
That is a perfect way to look at it.
10 years ago, a company would buy their own massive server racks, stick them in a freezing IT closet, and hire a guy just to replace broken hard drives. Now, they just subscribe to the cloud. You don't want to own the hardware, and you definitely don't want to maintain it. You just want the juice.
Exactly. You just want the electricity to keep your business running seamlessly.
Yeah.
But if we connect this to the bigger picture, while these fixed subscription-based networks are growing rapidly, they suffer from deep physical vulnerabilities.
What kind of vulnerabilities?
First, you have the total nightmare of compatibility. We're talking different plug types and constantly updating software protocols. Then you have the massive disparities in charging speeds.
Which is incredibly confusing for anyone new to EVs. I mean, you pull up to a plug and you have literally no idea if you're going to be there for 20 minutes or 2 days.
Yeah, it's a gamble. Let's define exactly what that means, though, because the hardware differences are vast.
Please do.
If you get stuck on a level 1 charger, you are essentially plugging a massive vehicle into a standard 120-volt household wall outlet.
Like plugging in a toaster.
Pretty much. You are getting maybe 3 to 5 miles of range per hour of charging. It's a total trickle.
Painful.
Then you have a level 2 charger, which uses a 240-volt connection similar to a heavy-duty clothes dryer. That's what you usually see in public parking lots or office buildings. But even that takes several hours to fill a battery.
Right.
What commercial fleets desperately need is DC fast charging, also known as level 3.
Because DC fast charging completely bypasses the car's onboard converter, right? It just shoots 400 to 800 volts of direct current straight into the battery pack, filling it up in 20 or 30 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. But installing those DC fast chargers introduces the most severe physical limitation of all the electrical grid itself. You can throw billions of dollars at software and hardware, but you cannot bypass the physics of transmitting megawatts of power.
Ah, right. So even with $16 billion pouring into charging as a service, we hit a literal roadblock. I imagine you can't just plug 50 high-voltage commercial vans into the local power lines without blowing out a city block.
You really can't. The grid is the ultimate bottleneck here. The data from L-Charge paints a very clear, honestly very frustrating picture of this reality.
What does their data show?
If you are a commercial fleet operator and you want to install a bank of DC fast chargers, waiting for a traditional grid connection from the utility company can take anywhere from 12 to 36 months.
Wait, 36 months? Up to 3 years just to get permission to turn your business on.
Up to 3 years, yeah.
That's insane. But I guess that's because it's not just paperwork, right? You are asking the utility to pull the equivalent of a small neighborhood's power into a single parking lot.
Exactly. It requires custom high-capacity transformers. It requires trenching up city streets, negotiating municipal permits, and often upgrading entire local substations.
Wow.
And the supply chains for those commercial transformers are currently backed up for years on their own. If a logistics company just spent millions transitioning to electric delivery vans, they cannot let them sit in a lot for 3 years, waiting for the local utility to dig a trench.
Right, which means we need a solution that ignores the grid entirely.
Bingo.
And from the sources, L-Charge is stepping into this gap with off-grid mobile EV chargers. These are like massive self-contained units that can pull up and charge a vehicle in 30 minutes without ever touching a public power line.
Yes, because they are generating the electricity on board, and major institutional players are relying on this. The Massachusetts Clean Energy Center is running a medium and heavy-duty mobile charging solutions pilot in March of 2026.
Oh, wow.
And Southern California Edison is actively exploring deploying these mobile units to support public safety during planned power shutoffs when the grid goes down entirely.
So they are essentially just power plants on wheels.
Exactly. But to bypass the grid, L-Charge uses alternative fuels to run that onboard generator. They are utilizing renewable natural gas, or RNG, compressed natural gas, or in some cases hydrogen, to create the electricity that then gets pumped into the EV.
Okay, I'm looking at this L-Charge data, and there is a glaring irony here I have to ask.
Go for it.
If we are burning natural gas and hydrogen to run a generator just to create the electricity to charge an electric van, aren't we just moving the tailpipe from the van to the charger? Help me understand how this is actually green, because it sounds like it defeats the entire environmental purpose of an EV.
It is the most common and honestly most valid criticism of off-grid charging.
Right? It seems backwards.
It does. But to understand why this exists, you have to view it strictly through the lens of a transition phase. The hard reality is that our clean energy infrastructure simply isn't there yet to support immediate, massive commercial demand.
The grid just isn't ready.
No, it's not. So using renewable natural gas or hydrogen is a necessary temporary bridge. It allows society to keep essential fleets moving. I'm talking autonomous vehicles, school buses, last-mile delivery trucks, without stalling the entire green transition.
I see. Because if a logistics company can't charge their new EVs, they won't just wait 3 years. They will immediately go back to buying diesel trucks.
Exactly. And that backslide is what off-grid charging prevents. It maintains the momentum of fleet electrification while the slow, bureaucratic gears of the utility grid catch up.
Okay, so L-Charge's massive natural gas generators are great if you have a huge commercial depot waiting on a permit. But what happens when one of those drivers actually leaves the lot, goes off route, and their battery dies in the middle of a shift?
Yeah, that's a different problem entirely.
Right, a massive rolling generator can't weave through downtown traffic to rescue a single Uber driver. And that's where a company like BeeCharged EV comes in.
Yeah, BeeCharged EV is aggressive in how they're completely reimagining mobile infrastructure for the everyday driver and the gig economy. They recently secured $7 million in funding,
Nice.
and they specifically earmarked $3.2 million of that purely for new mobile charging equipment. They are expanding commercial mobile EV fleet charging nationwide, and their scale is incredibly ambitious.
Yeah, they are targeting a 1,000-unit empire across the U.S. and Mexico.
Hmm.
They already have operations running in Miami, Los Angeles, Boston, and San Francisco.
And they also just launched a massive new emergency center in San Diego, providing level 3 fast charging in partnership with an assistance platform called Urgently.
Which is huge. But I was reading about their push into Mexico City, and that is just the perfect case study of how mobile charging fundamentally changes the economics of driving an EV.
Oh, absolutely.
In Mexico City, BeeCharged is specifically targeting rideshare and Uber drivers. Their mobile units are rolling up directly to these drivers and delivering 65 to 70 kilowatts of power, providing a meaningful charge in just 20 to 30 minutes.
That is a massive deal for gig workers. I mean, time is quite literally money for them.
Exactly. If you are driving for Uber, every minute your car is empty is a loss. If you have to spend 2 hours hunting down a working public charger, waiting in line behind 3 other cars, and then sitting on a slow level 2 connection, you are losing half your shift.
Yeah, your day's ruined.
So a 30-minute mobile charge delivered directly to you changes the entire math of the job.
It completely eliminates driver downtime. But what separates BeeCharged from simply being, a guy in a truck with a big battery in the back is their software integration.
Right, the AI.
Yeah, they have developed a proprietary platform called PSC AI, which stands for Predictive Smart Charging.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. In a traditional roadside assistance model, you call a tow truck after you're already broken down. PSC AI flips that entirely. It's like having a digital pit crew.
That's a great way to put it.
But instead of a mechanic just looking at a gas gauge, their API is constantly talking directly to your car's internal battery management system. It isn't just looking at the battery percentage.
Right, it goes way deeper than that.
Yeah, it is analyzing the ambient temperature because lithium-ion batteries drain significantly faster in the cold. It's factoring in the weight of your cargo and the topography of your specific route to calculate your actual real-time burn rate.
So the AI realizes you are going to run out of power before you even realize it yourself. It automatically alerts you and dispatches a mobile charging unit to intercept you along your route.
It's insane. It is proactive logistics rather than reactive rescue.
It's brilliant. And they are taking that exact same predictive software and applying it to a community-level initiative called the Apex 300 program.
What's the Apex 300 program?
So Apex 300 is specifically targeting what they call charging deserts. These are neighborhoods, often lower income or densely populated urban areas, that have historically been completely ignored by fixed infrastructure companies like ChargePoint or Tesla.
Right, where people don't have private garages.
Exactly. By using a mobile fleet, BeeCharged can rotate dedicated charging units into these underserved neighborhoods on a schedule, providing realistic EV access to people who could never install a charger at their home.
That's a game changer. But, in a press release or a pitch deck, it all sounds flawless. You have AI predicting your needs, mobile units rushing to your location, multi-million-dollar funding rounds closing.
But the transition from a laboratory concept to public adoption is always painful.
Always. Which brings this entire conversation back down to earth, to that freezing parking lot in Chicago. Because the reality of being an early adopter is rarely as smooth as the marketing copy.
No, it's usually pretty messy.
Let's look at the specific scenario this user on the electric vehicle subreddit was facing. They recently bought a used 2016 Ford Focus EV. This is a crucial detail because that is an older, first-generation EV.
Very important detail, yeah.
Even on a perfect day, it only has an EPA estimated range of about 70 miles on a full charge.
So their margin for error is virtually zero. They're sitting in their car, the main high-voltage battery is at 7%, and the system throws a critical failure warning.
And when an EV bricks, it really bricks. They couldn't shift into drive. They couldn't go into reverse. They managed to jump the smaller standard 12-volt accessory battery just to get the dashboard computer back on.
But without a charge to the main high-voltage battery pack beneath the floorboards, the car wasn't moving an inch.
Right, and because they live in an apartment complex with absolutely no exterior outlets, they couldn't just, hang an extension cord out a third-story window.
They were completely trapped. So they looked into mobile charging options and ended up calling BeeCharged EV. The operator quoted them a $165 fee for a mobile unit to come out and deliver a charge.
This prompted the user to go straight to Reddit and ask, is this a scam? Should I pay this? And the reactions from the EV community were incredibly mixed. It really highlights how fragmented and confusing the current landscape is for regular consumers.
Oh, definitely. You had the hyper-pragmatists chiming in saying, look, you have 7% left. Just turn off the climate control, turn off the heated seats, put on a winter coat, and limp your way to a public charger at 15 miles an hour to conserve energy.
Which is miserable in Chicago in the winter.
Oh, absolutely miserable. Others suggested just calling AAA and getting the car dragged to a Ford dealership.
But then you had people directly reviewing the BeeCharged service, and the experiences were polar opposites.
Really? Like what?
Well, one user had incredibly high praise. They said they used the online booking, got a call from a real human being within 15 minutes, and when they ultimately decided to use their auto insurance for a free tow instead, BeeCharged promptly refunded their money without a single hassle.
That's great customer service. Yet right below that comment, another user claimed the entire company was a scam.
Yeah, I saw that.
They stated their credit card was charged, no service vehicle ever showed up, they never received a refund, and they were actively threatening legal action.
We really have to validate how messy this is right now. For the average consumer, this technology is painfully fragmented. And it begs the question, if I have to pay $165 out of pocket just to get enough juice to make it the last 3 miles home, aren't we losing the entire economic benefit of owning an electric vehicle?
That's a totally fair point.
I mean, I could buy 50 gallons of gasoline for $165.
This raises an important question about the true cost of infrastructure. You have to mentally separate the cost of the electricity from the cost of the logistics.
Okay, explain that.
That $165 isn't paying for a few kilowatt hours of power. It is the current premium for on-demand emergency logistics. You are paying for a specialized technician to drive a heavy-duty commercial vehicle equipped with highly specialized, dangerous DC fast-charging hardware through dense Chicago traffic directly to your exact GPS coordinates.
Right.
In this early adopter phase, that overhead is incredibly expensive.
So it's essentially an emergency tax. You aren't paying for fuel, you're paying for a highly specialized rescue operation.
Exactly. And the executives at these companies are fully aware that a $165 out-of-pocket fee is completely unsustainable for the average consumer. It breeds resentment.
For sure.
This is exactly why BeeCharged is partnering with Urgently to aggressively pivot toward a subscription model. Their stated public goal is to reach 1 million subscription members.
So it loops right back to the charging as a service concept we started with, just applied to the individual driver instead of a massive commercial fleet.
Precisely. They want to integrate this mobile charging protection directly into your existing roadside assistance plans, your auto insurance policies, or just as a standalone monthly subscription.
That makes a lot of sense.
The ultimate goal is to turn that $165 emergency panic attack in a dark parking lot into seamless prepaid peace of mind. If you're paying $3 a month as part of your GaiaCo policy and the mobile charger simply shows up when the AI detects your battery dropping, with no out-of-pocket cost at the point of service, the entire consumer psychology changes.
It goes from feeling like you are being extorted on the side of the road to feeling like you have a premium white-glove concierge service taking care of you.
Exactly. The underlying technology works, off-grid generation works, the AI prediction works. The challenge right now is purely about optimizing the business model so it makes economic sense for both the provider and the driver.
So what does this all mean? We have gone from analyzing multi-billion-dollar commercial fleet subscriptions to off-grid chargers running on natural gas to bypass 3-year utility delays, all the way down to a stranded 2016 Ford Focus in a Chicago apartment complex.
Quite a spectrum.
It really is. What you should take away from this deep dive is that the EV charging landscape is undergoing a massive, largely invisible shift. Whether you are a logistics manager overseeing 100 delivery trucks, or you are just someone commuting to work hoping you have enough range to run the heater in the winter, the way you fill up is changing.
It's changing fast.
It is evolving from a physical chore, where you have to hunt down a station, wait in line, and wrestle with a heavy cable into an invisible automated service that predicts your needs and comes directly to you.
And as we look toward that automated future, I want to leave you with a thought to mull over that goes even a step further.
Oh, I like where this is going.
We've talked about AI predicting when you need power and mobile commercial fleets roaming the streets to deliver it. But what happens when the vehicles themselves become the infrastructure?
Wait, what do you mean?
If we have tens of millions of EVs on the road, all carrying massive, high-capacity batteries, what happens when cars start charging each other? In 50 years, will we even need a centralized power grid for transportation? Or will the millions of vehicles on the highway become a decentralized, self-sustaining, peer-to-peer power grid of their own?
Now, that is a wild thought. A swarm of batteries just autonomously sharing power while driving down the interstate. We'll definitely have to save that for another deep dive. Thank you for joining us today, for letting us sift through the spreadsheets, the utility grid data, and the subreddits to bring you the full picture. Keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep learning. We'll catch you next time.